U.S. President Joe Biden on Thursday said he's taking steps to deal with the rising number of violent incidents on airplanes.
I want you to know I've instructed the Justice Department to make sure that we deal with the violence on aircraft coming from those people who are taking issues. We're going to deal with that.
This year has seen 4,626 reports of unruly passenger incidents. More than 70% of those were related to masks. The FAA has initiated enforcement actions in 177 cases, issuing more than $1 million in proposed fines. The Justice Department did not immediately comment. Last month, two senior U.S. Senate Democrats urged Attorney General Merrick Garland to investigate and prosecute unruly air passengers due to the surge in bad behavior during the pandemic. In June, a group representing major U.S. airlines and aviation unions also asked Garland to prosecute the growing number of disruptive and violent air passengers. Last month, Delta called on other U.S. airlines to share lists of passengers who have been banned during the COVID-19 pandemic for disruptive behavior to help deter the rising number of incidents. Delta said it has put more than 1,600 people on its no-fly list during the pandemic. FAA Administrator Steve Dixon imposed a zero-tolerance order on passenger disturbances in January after supporters of Donald Trump were disruptive on flights around the January 6th U.S. Capitol attack. That policy will stay at least as long as federal mask rules on airplanes are in place, which extend to mid-January 2022.
And here's the deal. These requirements are already proving that they work. Starting in July, when I announced the first vaccination requirement for the federal government, about 95 million eligible Americans were unvaccinated, as was mentioned a little bit earlier. Today, we reduced that number to 67 eligible Americans who aren't vaccinated. And today, we released a new report outlining effective vaccination requirements that are already proving their worth. The Department of Defense has gone from 67% of active duty forces being vaccinated to 97% as of tomorrow. Vaccination just 6 weeks into this vaccination requirement. That's how quickly it's moved. We're also seeing this at colleges and universities across the country. More than 95% of students at colleges and universities like Northwestern and University of Illinois, Chicago are vaccinated. And we're going to see it in health systems around the country as well. Rush University Medical Center here in Chicago has gone from 72% to more than 95% of its employees fully vaccinated under its requirements. These requirements work. So today, I'm calling on more employers to act. My message is require your employees to get vaccinated. With vaccinations, we're going to beat this pandemic finally. Without them, we face endless months of chaos in our hospitals, damage to our economy, and anxiety in our schools, and empty restaurants, and much less commerce.
Former President Donald Trump would have shredded the Constitution to keep his office in the presidency.
A new report released Thursday laid out the lengths to which Democrats say Donald Trump pressured the Justice Department to overturn the presidential election result, including by trying to oust its top official.
We were a half step away from a full-blown constitutional crisis.
The review by the Senate Judiciary Committee, chaired by Democrat Dick Durbin, details how Trump was growing angry that acting Attorney General Jeffrey Rosen would not launch a public investigation into the false claim that Trump's defeat to now President Joe Biden was the result of widespread fraud. Rosen himself had taken the reins from William Barr, who resigned as Attorney General in the weeks after the election, after publicly undercutting Trump by saying that the DOJ found no sign of systemic voter fraud. According to the Senate review, Trump ultimately tried to remove Rosen by asking Jeffrey Bossert Clark, then a senior Justice Department official and Trump loyalist, to step into the AG role. Durbin on Thursday laid out why that didn't happen.
The White House counsel, Pat Cipollone, dissented from the president's position and said it was a murder-suicide pact for him to engage in this. Secondly, at that point, the 8 leading officials in the Department of Justice all signed a letter saying that they would resign en masse if there was a replacement of the acting Attorney General by Mr. Clark.
That meeting, Durbin said, took place on January 3rd.
We know what followed. In a matter of 3 days, this former president, desperate in his situation, having failed in every court case, having failed to take over the Department of Justice, decided to take his cause to the streets. We saw it in the United States Capitol 3 days later on January 6th. The president turned loose a mob that was supposed to stop us from counting the electoral votes and electoral ballots.
Republicans on the committee issued their own report, which drew different conclusions. Ranking member Chuck Grassley said Trump, quote, did what we'd expect a president to do on an issue of this importance. He listened to his senior advisors and followed their advice and recommendations.
The defendant's playbook involved fraud and deception.
18 former NBA players were charged on Thursday with defrauding the league's health and wellness benefit plan out of $3.9 million, seeking reimbursement for medical and dental work that was never performed. According to an indictment filed with the U.S. District Court in Manhattan, players received $2.5 million in fraudulent proceeds, with 10 paying the alleged ringleader, Terrence Williams, at least $230,000 in kickbacks. Audrey Strauss, the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York.
First, Williams obtained fraudulent medical and dental invoices. Second, he sent those invoices to his co-conspirators, other former NBA players. Third, the co-conspirators submitted the fraudulent claims to the plan. Fourth, unaware that the claims were fraudulent, the plan paid most of the defendants' claims. And fifth, in many cases, the defendants paid kickbacks to Williams.
The alleged scheme involved 2 dental offices and a chiropractic office in the Los Angeles area, and a wellness office in Washington state.
Ronald Glenn Davis, Anthony Roten, and Anthony Allen purportedly had root canals on the same 6 teeth on April 30, 2016, and crowns on the same 6 teeth on May 11, 2016. Roten and Allen each also purportedly had root canals on the same 13 teeth on September 6, 2018.
Among the defendants are Tony Allen, a 6-time member of the NBA All-Defensive Team, and Glenn Davis, both of whom won a championship with the Boston Celtics in 2008. Other defendants included Sebastian Telfair, a former Brooklyn High School basketball star, and Milt Palacio, now an assistant coach for the Portland Trail Blazers. In a statement, the NBA said it will cooperate with prosecutors, calling the accusations particularly disheartening given the importance of its benefit plans to support players' health, including after they retire.
Hundreds of children in Kenya's malaria-prone western region were inoculated with doses of the world's first approved malaria vaccine on Thursday. Despite her 2-year-old child's screams, mother Phoebe Watende didn't hesitate. She said she'd seen firsthand the ravages of the mosquito-borne illness.
In our family, we have had a lot of malaria-related problems. Some members have turned mad and others we've lost. Especially in our home, even after someone has been treated, they still fall ill from malaria after a few months.
On Thursday, her daughter received her 4th and last dose at Yala Sub-County Hospital. The vaccine, called RTSS, or Mosquirix, was developed by British drug maker GlaxoSmithKline and is the product of 30 years of research to fight one of the deadliest scourges on Earth. Malaria killed 386,000 Africans in 2019. This week, the World Health Organization said Mosquirix should be widely given to African children. Since 2019, 2.3 million doses have been administered to infants in Ghana, Kenya, and Malawi in a large-scale pilot program. The vaccine's effectiveness at preventing severe cases of malaria in children is only around 30%, but it is the only approved vaccine. Chris Opati, the clinical officer in Siaya County, Kenya, said the trial is already showing improvements.
We've seen a reduction in the cases of the severe form of malaria, and this can be checked through our reporting systems. The numbers have really gone down.
But it's unclear when the vaccine will be accessible to the many African countries where malaria is endemic, because the cost per dose is not known, and it is not clear how quickly production can be scaled up.